and welcome to the True Fit podcast. So the whole goal with this is just to give you real sustainable things that you can implement into your weight loss and muscle building goals. And so obviously we have an in-person gym here in Post Falls, North Idaho area, but a lot of these principles apply to whether you're working out at home or just like going to, a 24-hour fitness type gym. And so the topic for today is going to be how I would lose 10 pounds in the next 10 weeks. So granted, it's New Year's, it's the new me, all that fun stuff. Most people have some type of like weight loss or health goal. And so I'm just gonna tackle how I would do this personally. Granted, I know my body pretty well, my macros well, my daily calorie expenditure, but this would work for also just the average person looking to sustainably lose body fat, build muscle, and quote unquote, get healthier. And so the first thing I would do is, like I said, I like these, small, steady changes and goals that are gonna lead to long-lasting results. We've all seen people who lose 20, 30 pounds and, 6 months, let's say, and then they all put it back on. And that's mostly because they haven't learned new habits, it's a crash diet, and it's not truly quote unquote sustainable. And so everybody's body is different, obviously, but this is how I would do it, and this is how I would start most average clients. So the first thing I would do is just increase my step count by 20%. So on average, I average 8 to 10,000 steps per day. I would shoot for about 12,000 steps per day. Granted, if you're brand new and you start tracking your steps and you're at 2,500 per day, you going up to 5,000 is already a huge increase. But for the most part, most people should be hitting that 8 to 10,000 steps. And you can forget overall fat loss in general. That's really just a good health spot to be at. And honestly, it's pretty, I wouldn't say easy to do that, but I love taking my dog for a walk, my daughters for a walk. I like to just stroll up and down the gym when I'm, taking phone calls, etc. And so it's just being conscientious of it. When I go to the store, I like to park far out in the parking lot, also because it gives me more room to put my daughters in and out of my truck. But it really just compounds over time. So I get an extra 500 to 1,000 steps at the store, and you do that twice a day, extra steps, extra walks. We're there. Long story short, the next thing I would do is decrease my calories by 10%. So on average, I eat 22 to 2,300. I'd go down to about 2,000-ish. And I can take a faster approach, but like I said, I just like nice and steady, and then I can save those calories for later on. Also, it's gonna give me more energy and allow me to push harder in the gym when I'm training as well. So, if your average calorie count right now is 2,500, you would go to 2,250. Granted, if you don't know where your calories are, you're not tracking your calories, that's actually the best place to start, is just start tracking your stuff. Once you kind of have a baseline, you can decrease it by 10%. I always stick with nutrient-dense, high-quality foods. They're gonna help you feel fuller, there's less fat, more fiber, and obviously they're just healthier in general. The biggest thing too, with just a nice steady calorie deficit, is it's slow and steady and allows for consistency, less risk of a burnout. If I go from my 2,200 calories a day to 1,200 per day, it's not sustainable. Yeah, I'll see a little bigger loss at first, but my energy is going to start to suck. My training sessions are going to start to suck. I'm not going to feel good. I'm not going to have as many calories burned per day just because my energy is lower. So I'm going to be doing more sitting around, less moving around, and I won't be as quote unquote productive. Currently, I train or resistance train 4 times per week for about an hour. I would continue to do that. It's just going to help me preserve my lean muscle, might even be able to still build some muscle, keep my metabolism high, and it also helps protect your lean muscle mass while we're in a calorie deficit. I can always add in cardio later. That could be, long steady state, or I call it long boring state, but 15, 20 minutes on a bike. But again, that's a tool I could use later if I were to see a quote unquote plateau. Again, would just increase my step counts as it is. I'm already gonna be burning more calories than I was. The next thing we have to do to know if we're seeing progress is track our progress. So I like to weigh myself every single day just so I can kind of keep a pulse on fluctuations, that type of stuff. Weekly photos are another good tool for measurements, how my clothes are fitting, etc. Big thing is I like to do things that are sustainable, that I can do long term. My goal is to build discipline versus motivation, because you're gonna have those days where you're not quote unquote motivated, but if we can stay disciplined, you can train even when you're not quote unquote motivated. But the biggest thing is just increasing our NEAT, or our overall daily calorie expenditure, which essentially is non-exercise activities. So pacing, walking up and down, parking further out, hot laps through the grocery store. That's kind of my approach. So if you need, we also do online training, of course. So if you do need help like setting up a plan, or you live here locally and you're wanting to join a group of people who are really just looking to, they might be just an average person, but looking to have above average results, physiques, etc., and train in a long-term sustainable way. Here at TrueFit, our clients are between the ages of 40 and 75, essentially. So if you're kind of in that group there, shoot me a message here. I'd love to meet with you and see if we're a good fit.